Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. Thought I'd do a post-series review of Australia versus Pakistan in terms of player ratings for the Pakistanis. This comes with a warning. It doesn't make for pretty reading. There will be criticism of players. So if you don't like criticism of Pakistani cricketers, then I suggest you switch off. It's honesty. It's not done with any bias. It's, I feel, a fair reflection on the Pakistani players' efforts in Australia in the 3-0 defeat. You guys wanted consistency from a Pakistan team. You've got it. 17 losses in a row in Australia for Pakistan. So there you go. There's your consistency. Okay, let's start with the top performers. Amr Jamal, top of the list. For me, he gets 8 out of 10. He went to Australia with no international cricket under his belt. People felt it was a bit of a risky pick, but I think he's shown enough to suggest that he could be the pace bowling all-rounder that Pakistan has looked for since the days of Abdul Razak and Azhar Mahmood, etc. Coming in at that number 8-9 slot, decent bowler. You know, he can hold one end up with a bat and he can play a few shots as well. So that's good. As I say, he gets 8 out of 10 for me. His numbers were 18 wickets, an average of 20.44, 254 runs, including that excellent innings of 82. So standout performer, Amr Jamal, take a bow. Mohammad Rizwan, I've given him 7 out of 10. People might think that's a little bit generous, but don't forget, first test match he was dropped. So to come in halfway through the series, to play 2 test matches, score 193 runs at an average of 48.25 with a couple of good innings as well, was a decent effort. He'll be disappointed that he couldn't go on and score 100 in the series, which no Pakistani batter managed to do actually throughout the test series. And I thought his keeping was okay. It was slightly better with the reviews as well. So I think he can be fairly proud of his efforts, one of the few players who actually can. I've given 6 to Mir Hamza, who took 7 wickets at an average of 20.71. I thought he was tidy with the ball. He's not the bowler that he was 5, 6 years ago, where he was much quicker, more aggressive. He's more of a steady, clever bowler these days. And, you know, he was economical. And again, to come in to a series halfway through and to perform like he did, maybe he should have got a few more wickets, a little bit unlucky at times, but I think he did okay, all things considered. I've given 6 to Kuram Shazad as well. He took 5 wickets in the one match that he played at an average of 25.60. Unfortunately, he got injured, which seems to be a regular problem for Pakistani pace bowlers these days. Why do they keep on getting injured? Is it a lack of fitness? Is it a lack of preparation? I'm not medically qualified, so I don't know. But I thought Kuram did okay. You know, he gave his all in that one test match, and maybe those efforts were a bit too much for his body to take, really, having played that first test match. And as I say, he suffered that injury. It would have been interesting to see how he would have done if he'd played all 3 test matches, but he did okay. I've given Shan Masood 5 out of 10, 181 runs, average of 30.16, 250s, and his captaincy was okay. I wouldn't say it was great, some innovation there. So overall, I think he did okay as captain. His batting, good, and then poor at times. A couple of obviously very low scores. He'll be another one who'll be disappointed that he couldn't, you know, progress, make those 50s into 70s, 80s, or 100s, which is what Pakistan needed. And I keep saying this, but 30s, 40s, and 50s do not hurt the opposition. You need centuries, you know, like the likes of Warner, etc. did. Those are the scores that turn matches, that you know, make results go in the favour of their team, not these 30s, 40s, and 50s. So Shan has work to do on his batting. He knows that. But I think there's hope for the future. I've given 5 to Salman Ali Agha, 141 runs, average of 28.20. Similar to Shan, really, a couple of good innings and some not so good innings. Again, another who's got work to do on his batting, but you know, 3 wickets also, filled in as that fifth bowler at times in the first two test matches, kept it quite steady. A steady performance rather than anything spectacular, but he's another who really needs to start converting those 30s, 40s, and 50s into those hundreds. And, that's the only way that he's going to make his mark on test matches, because at the moment he's a steady performer, not a match winner. Pakistan needs match winners, especially in overseas conditions. I've given 4 to Sam Ayub, which again, some of you might think is a little bit generous. He scored a duck in his first innings, but there again, so did Saeed Anwar. 33 runs in his second innings. It was a good innings, wasn't it? It was nice to watch. He was aggressive, and he came out all guns blazing, which provides some hope for the future. Again, technically, he needs some work on his batting, especially on these bouncy pitches that he'll encounter in the likes of Australia and South Africa. But I think he's definitely got some good signs for the future. It's just how they manage him, whether they see him as an all-format batter or whether they just see him as somebody who will play white ball cricket in future. His fielding needs working on, doesn't it? Time and again, we see these young cricketers from Pakistan, and their fielding, their ground fielding, their catching isn't up to scratch. And this is an area that I feel Pakistan cricket board needs to work on, because too many of these young cricketers come into national cricket and they're lacking in the field. So, as I said, that's an area that he needs to work on. 3 for Shaheen Shah Afridi. 8 wickets, average of 41. That average is high. He had some catches dropped off his bowling, a little bit of bad luck, one could say. However, I thought he was below par with the ball. Wasn't at his best. Played 2 test matches, and then he needed some rest in the 3rd test match, which I find a little bit surprising. Young, fit athlete like that, you want to play every test match. He's saying that the board wanted him to rest. Now, for me, a young cricketer in his position, he should be desperate to play every test match. He should be desperate to play every game for his country at that age. Do you need rest? I don't know. I can't imagine Pat Cummins wanting to be rested in that 3rd test match. I can't imagine the selectors and the management going up to Mitchell Stark and saying, look, Mitch, we want you to rest for this test match. He wouldn't want rest. They wouldn't want rest. I don't think Shaheen Shah Afridi should have been rested in that 3rd test match either. But that's something for the board to look at. I thought his batting was disappointing. Shaheen, we know he can hit a good ball. He strikes a long hit, but I thought his batting battered to deceive, really. So 3 out of 10 for him in the series. Needs some improvement there. I think need to look at why his pace is down as well. Sajid Khan played 1 test match in that 3rd test match in Sydney. 3 wickets at an average of 40. Again, another who's come into the test series when Pakistan had already lost the series. Difficult to get into the groove of the series, having not played any matches earlier on in the series. He did okay. He's not one of those. He's not a Saeed Ajmal. He's not a Yasser Shah. He's not one of those guys like Mushtaq Ahmed or Saqlain Mushtaq, who's single-handedly going to win you many matches outside of Pakistan. But he was a steady performer. He did okay. But I think Pakistan needs to look at their spin bowling resources, because for me, the likes of Noman Ali, Sajid Khan, these guys are not going to win you many test matches outside Pakistan. And then we move on to the 2s. Now, this is where it starts getting a little bit painful. Abdullah Shafiq, 110 runs, average of 18.33. Very disappointing. His modes of dismissal, some of his shots were brilliant, some of his shots were terrible. That's what you get with Abdullah, isn't it? Class 1 minute, awful the next. Needs to get out of that mindset. Needs to put more value on his wicket. Some of the shots that he played to get out, awful. Away from his body. Technically, terrible shots. White ball cricket shots, not test cricket. The fielding. Abdullah, some of those catches that he dropped in the slips, I'm having nightmares about them. So he must be having nightmares still. I know he says it's part of the game, but come on, mate. You've got to do better than that. Imam ul Haq, I've given 2 out of 10 as well. 94 runs in 4 innings, average of 23.5. We know about Imam's struggles outside Pakistan. We know about his struggles in places like Australia. Probably what we expected, really. I think he's another who needs to assess his batting, his technique against the quicker bowlers, and look at the ways he's getting out to these guys in foreign conditions. Some of the shots that he gets away with in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, etc., you can't get away with in places like Australia. He's been around long enough to know that, and he's another who needs to, as I say, look at himself from within and look at where he's going in regards his cricketing career and especially his batting. Babar Azam. Come on, Babar, what's going on? Last 12, 13 months, he's just not looked himself, has he? Test cricket, his average has gone down. His numbers are terrible. Just doesn't look comfortable out there. We saw a couple of nice shots through the series, but not enough of the Babar Azam of old. 126 runs in 6 innings, average of 21 by Babar's standards. That is terrible. He's the key batter for Pakistan. He will have been the batter that the Australians look at to stop, to target, and he just did nothing, didn't he, throughout the series. Time and again, he gave his wicket away. Some loose shots, some non-Babar-esque shots as well. You expect better from him. Going forward, we want to see the Babar Azam of old, don't we? We don't want to see this Babar Azam of 2023 that we saw in Test cricket. We want to see the Babar Azam that we're all used to seeing in the past, where he was taking on the best in the world. So come on, Babar, up your game. I'll give you 2 out of 10. Now it comes to Saud Shakil. Big reputation, came to the Australian series with big average, double hundreds, some big scores, and we thought we'd found a wonderful middle order batter. He might be in Pakistan, he might be in Australia, he might score runs in Bangladesh. But Australia, he scored 92 runs in 6 innings, average of 15. Terrible numbers. Some loose shots, some technical flaws, back foot play, probably not as good as it should be. But there were no surprises, were there really? He must have known this was coming. It's about preparation. What did he do to make those Australian bowlers think a little bit more to try and change their approach? They didn't have to change their approach, really. Very poor. 2 out of 10. Sorry, Saud. I know you're a nice guy, but that's the rating I'm giving you. And then we come to the 1 out of 10s. Fahim Ashraf, 14 runs, 1 wicket for 130 runs. Still waiting to see where this Fahim Ashraf, the Test cricketer, is. We've been waiting a long time now, haven't we? We keep hearing that he's found his form, he's found his rhythm, he's going to start performing in Test cricket. Just doesn't happen, does it? Is he a Test cricketer at this moment in time? I don't think he is. Has he been a Test cricketer in the past? I'm not sure he has been. I think he's been lucky to play so many matches at the international level. I think he needs to improve. I think he needs to look at himself and where his career is going in terms of international cricket, because he's just not up to the mark at the moment. And finally, Hassan Ali. Now, Hassan, you're a good guy. You always give 100%, but 7 runs in 4 innings, 2 wickets at an average of 91. Terrible numbers. A little bit of bad luck here and there, bowled some decent spells, didn't he? But Hassan Ali fancies himself as an all-rounder. To score 7 runs in 4 innings, I reckon I could have done that. 2 wickets at an average of 91. Terrible numbers. Again, similar to Fahim Ashraf. Where's his international career going? Is he seeing himself as a white ball specialist? Does he still think he has a future in Test cricket in the red ball format? If he does, then he needs to drastically improve, because these aren't the numbers that we want to associate with someone like Hassan Ali. And I know Naseem Shah was missing, and Hassan came in to the series without Naseem Shah's support there. Shaheen wasn't at his best, but nonetheless, you've got to do better than what he did. So very disappointing numbers for Hassan Ali as well. So there's my stats. You might agree with them. You might disagree with some of those numbers. Do put in the comments what your thoughts are regarding these stats for the ratings for the Pakistani players. Overall, a very disappointing series, and overall, not many of the Pakistani players can hold their heads up high, go back to Pakistan and say, "Well, I thought I did well in that series." Most will go back and they should look at themselves and think, "Where did I disappoint? Where did I not achieve? Where can I improve upon?" Is the most important thing. And I think there's a number of those players that need to improve in future. Thanks very much for watching. Take care.